All right, we got Rick Spielman here, and Rick, it's been a interesting past 2 days for you. We started out in the draft with 12 picks. We end going on night three with 13 overall picks on day three. But before we talk day three, let's recap day one and day two. We started out with Justin Jefferson, LSU receiver, 1,500 receiving yards last year. What makes him fit in this Minnesota Vikings offense?
A couple of things that really stuck out to us: his precise route running, his intelligence, his ability to make big plays when he gets the ball in his hand. And I think that's very important when we're looking at receivers and what's important that fits our quarterback. And I think all of his skill sets really fit what we're looking for in Coach Kubiak's offensive scheme. Also, as you watched him progress through the year and how he performed on a big stage over the last three games and making plays in the most important part of the season was another great asset. But the most important thing is, besides his physical ability, is his intelligence, his passion for the game, and what type of character this kid is. And he's everything we wanted in a receiver.
Were you surprised that he fell to you guys? Because on other mock boards, he was, in that 15, 16 range.
I don't think you've been in a business as long as I have that anything surprises you anymore. You just kind of sit there and be patient. You hold your breath. And we were very fortunate he fell to us where we were able to draft him.
So you trade the 25th overall pick to the 49ers in exchange for their 31st overall pick, and you choose Jeff Gladney, cornerback from TCU. What went into making that decision?
The thing I know and the corners in this scheme, they have to have not only the physical traits we're looking for, but they have to have an edge to them in how they play. And this kid, I had an opportunity to go see play live against Mims down at Baylor and watched him matched up against him. And it was a great battle between the two because Mims is an outstanding receiver. But when you watch the tape, you see every week that he's up against the best receiver that the opponent has. So, he's a competitive kid. Just talking with the coaches down there and our coaches spending time with him, he can play multiple positions for us, either outside or in. Even though he's not an ideal tall corner, he's a little over 5'10", but his unique arm length and his wingspan make him play a lot taller. So tough, competitive corner that had all the athletic traits that we look for the position.
We saw a lot of old linemen go in the first round. Once the second round came, you guys choose Ezra Cleveland with your first pick in the second round. Why Ezra Cleveland over, all these other linemen that still have not been picked yet?
He fit, again, we're always going to look for athletes because I know what the coaches do. If they have athletic traits to fit our scheme, and this is what Ezra brings to us. He reminded us a lot of when Brian O'Neill came out when we drafted him in the second round a couple of years ago. That's turned out to be a very good player for us. But with the outside zone scheme that we run, they have to be able to move in space. They have to be able to work at the second level. They have to be able to pull and do a lot of things athletic than maybe what we would refer to as a gap scheme guy that's more powerful and moving straight ahead. So, but he was another really, we felt, clean kid, health-wise, from an intelligence standpoint, from a character standpoint, and an ideal scheme fit with his athletic traits.
I think Alexander Madison was the happiest guy in America once that pick was made.
We went back and watched 18 tape on because he played through a turf toe this year, and as we were watching, I said, boy, that back is pretty good, whoever that kid is.
Cameron Dantzler, DB, Mississippi State. I was talking to him earlier, and, he's 6'2", 190, has the frame. But what you see on film, he just makes those big plays. And being a long, wiry guy, he can ball. What did you see in him?
Yeah, no, for a tall guy, he can really transition into and out of his breaks, mirroring receivers. He can drop his weight. He's not afraid to come up and run support. When you watch that LSU game, who has maybe the best receivers in the country across the board besides Alabama, you watch him against the Alabama kids. he was a one corner down in the SEC, although he may not have gotten as much highlight put on him or as much notoriety. He's a kid that really rose to the occasion when he played against NFL receivers. And that's the type of talent he's going to have to play up here when he gets to our level. So we were very excited to get a talented corner like that.
You trade pick 105 back to the Saints, and you end the day, and now day 3, you have 13 picks coming up. But before we get to day 3, what goes into the whole trading process? Is it because you don't want to reach for a guy that you feel like you don't need? How does that work out? How do you decide on?
Usually it's, we had a guy, but also when you look at the depth of our draft board, and we have a ton of names up there in that 4th, 5th round range that we think can come in and make a splash for us. So we have enough draft capital to move up and down and hopefully move back into the 4th to try to get the cream of the crop in the 3rd day. The other thing with having that much draft capital too is because college free agency is going to be a lot harder, I believe, than it is in normal years, with everybody trying to go after and get the top kids that are drafted. When you have that many picks, even through the 6th and 7th round, you don't have to worry about that part. You can go ahead and take a chance on some of these kids that we've already identified that we would potentially have drafted in the late rounds anyway. Now we just have a lot more opportunity to draft a lot more kids.
Is 13 picks the most draft picks you ever had in a day?
As of right now. So we'll see where it ends up tomorrow. And also, you also have to look at taking some of those picks and, looking at future picks. So we may trade a pick and try to get a pick for next year too, and start building up our draft capital for next year as well.
Do you feel like you've addressed the priority needs that you need to thus far?
I know, corner was a huge need. We were able to get 2 quality corners. Receiver was definitely a big need. We got I think a big-time playmaker at receiver, and offensive line was also a top need for us, and got one of the most athletic tackles in the draft in the 2nd round. So we still have a lot of depth to fill, on our roster. I think we only had 60 players on our roster. We have to get to 90. A lot of that's going to be with our cap situation. A lot of that's going to have to be filled with these young guys. So we're going to be able to create a lot of competition and fill a lot of needs yet for our football team tomorrow. And I also say tomorrow's a big day for the college scouts. But this is why I have so much faith in Jamal Stevenson, our college director, and all our college scouts for all the time, effort, being away from home all fall, all through this process to get this board straight on the 3rd day. And I know with how we have it stacked, where we get some really good players.
I interviewed you before the draft, and we talked about the virtual draft. Looking at it now, is the virtual draft what you expected? Did it exceed any expectations? Like, what's the feeling like?
It's the unknown until you actually. It's like when you go into the first game of the season. That's the one you're probably the most nervous because it's the most unknown. Right. But you get out there and you get going, and like I said, our IT department's been off the charts with Cheryl Nygaard, with Paul Nelson, and how the systems that they have set in place. And to me, there's no real difference except being in person with the people. We've been able to function without a hiccup. And I see that no issues going into it tomorrow, the way we've been able to operate as a group over these last 2 days. In fact, it's been so smooth that we'll probably start doing some virtual draft meetings through December and February, then bring everybody in April. But with the technology that's been built and the how smart our IT people are, including myself, I'm considering myself an IT person now because I couldn't even turn on my phone till this happened. Now I can't program, but I know how to manipulate chat rooms and all that other stuff. So, but it's been great, and it's really helped us, I believe, grow in an area that maybe you take for granted, but now you appreciate everything that's involved in the process from that side of it.
Well, I'm going to try to get some sleep tonight because I know you're not. Best of luck tomorrow. Congrats in the first 3 rounds.
Okay, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.